I'm Sarah.
And I'm Julie. Join us for unbuttoned and unedited conversations.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Suspenders Unbuttoned Podcast. My name is Sarah.
And I'm Julie, and we welcome today Nicole and Michael Comforto. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi, Nicole. Hi, Michael. Thanks so much for joining us. I just have to say, I love your title, like on your website, award-winning writers, comedy writers, and then average parents. Is that how it goes?
About right.
That's us.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Thank you. Well, I realized there are just no awards for parenting. Like you can't win a parenting award. There's no way.
We've invented many, but
we've tried. Parenting wins look really different than what the world gives awards for, too. Right. Also,
right. Like, congratulations, you've cleaned up your 1,000th milk spill. You know, like I feel like I get the awards for that.
The disaster area around you is slightly smaller today.
Yeah. I know. Who knows what's going to be awaiting me when I go back upstairs and see what my kids have done while I'm down here talking with you all.
Oh my gosh. You should win the award for whatever it is.
I
will accept it. No.
It's like when I read it, I was just like, this is spectacular for so many things. And something that happened early in my career under the average parents is one of the nurses took everybody out. I was my first year working as a pharmacist, and we all went out because she was celebrating her third and final child was gainfully employed and had health insurance. And I thought, right,
what an accomplishment.
I had no children at that time, and that bar has been there ever since then. So gainfully employed, has children. I don't know where you guys are located, but in the U.S., you know, it's like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say our kids are 5 and 9, so we've been parenting for like over 9 years now, and I just thought about like, how long is it going to be until our youngest is likely to have his own health insurance? And I realized about another 20 years.
Right. So I was going to say we carried our kids until the end because you can carry them through 26 and let them be double insured for a while. For a variety of reasons. So
we have not even gotten there.
No, I know, but we're talking about this right now. This will be tomorrow. Let me just. I can remember that day like it was yesterday, and I had no children, and all 3 of my children are gainfully employed. And
so it's really you that deserves the award, Julie.
Yes. Like that. But it was just such a it was just this aha moment for me. So I thought of that moment the minute I read your title. So
I survived middle school with my daughter, so I feel like that deserves.
Oh wow,
that's schooler now.
That one I have thought of a bit, even though
you're getting close. You're getting.
Yeah, 9 is getting close. Yeah.
Yeah, we think about all the challenges we're having right now with our kids, and then we go, oh, and that's we're going to look forward to. Actually, you were like, you know what? Let's just leave the country for middle school. We'll just leave that.
That's my plan. I'm like, if things just go really badly socially, I think let's just take them abroad for a year and then make things even harder. You know what I mean?
Even harder.
Why not?
But in a different way.
At least they'd be learning a language. You know, if you're going to be socially miserable, you might as
well be miserable in a beautiful European country or something. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We'll let you know how that goes. And
yes,
we'll be reading what you write as you go through all of this. It'll be spectacular. I will have to say, I will say something that almost nobody ever says. I loved parenting teenagers.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
I'm just going to say
need to hear some positive things about.
Yeah, no, I loved parenting teenagers. That was a lot of fun, actually.
Good.
I mean, big kids, big problems. But I love parenting teens. So, which nobody ever
I'll let you know in a few years if I survive that.
For a second there. Our internet was oh no, maybe we're still dropped out.
Dang. Sorry.
All
right, so we're gonna stream. Okay,
great. Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what has happened? What has happened every once in a while is our internet just, so completely ducks out. So I've gotten into this habit of trying to strike a really like handsome pose so that like if I do freeze, like great. It's just like,
Ooh.
That
I gotta work on mine.
I had to learn it hard because of the internet here.
Yeah. We live in a small town, rural area. Internet is not always as perfect as we would like it to be.
Yeah. Sometimes you're just happy to have internet in those areas. Right. I certainly have friends that live under those circumstances.
Okay.
Definitely.
We're also spoiled. So we were living in the Seattle area for a long time. And so just like instant gratification on everything. And then we move out here. And it's like, I'm actually really glad we have a decent internet connection because so I work remotely a lot as well. And so when I first
need it. Yes.
Yes. And when we first moved, I was terrified that I was going to end up, not being able to do my job when I realized that. But now we have okay internet. And I have things like strike a pose.
Better than dial-up, but maybe not quite 5G. Take it.
Yeah. Remember my dial-up days.
Oh my gosh. You've got mail.
Very vividly. Yes. So tell us a little bit about, no, that's okay. I was just going to say, you are both here because you are writers and you co-write together. You have a really fun Substack called Hey Honey, where you write each other little notes and letters, which I just find so adorable. I was just reading a few today, and I love that you can take it deep or you can take it like really funny or, lean into the lightness. So tell us a little bit about Hey Honey and how that started and what inspires you.
Yeah.
Sure.
You want to start?
I think we had the idea for Hey Honey last summer when we were thinking about how busy our lives have gotten and with kids and jobs and writing and all this other stuff. And I think we were reminiscing about when we were married but didn't have kids yet. Like we lived in Paris at that time, and we used to have just like really long conversations over meals. And we had big ideas, and we loved kind of like dreaming together and imagining like the companies we would start and the things we would do. And now like sometimes we just have to like yell.
Oh, there's those poses.
Yep, there's the poses.
Did
internet?
Is it bedtime yet? Just like the simplest things at this point.
I left you some dinner on the stove,
Yes, that's very relatable. Sometimes I have to text my husband. I'm like, I didn't even see you today.
Yeah. And I just thought, Hey Honey could be a space for us to have those long conversations in written format. And just like, because sometimes one of us does have a long time to sit and think out a thought, but it doesn't usually happen together.
The stars never align on that.
But we still want to be in conversation with each other. Yeah. So that's how it started. But we try to do in a way that's fun for others as well. So the idea is to make it feel like you're just like sitting down with a coffee or wine with us and chatting together about ideas. And we love it when people comment. It's become something really fun and special for us.
I'd also add that I feel like it does a really great job of actually representing kind of the diversity of topics that we like to talk about a bit as well, and the riffing that happens there. So that has been super fun to just sort of like write out an idea about something random like astrology and how I don't believe it, but also do. And then you can tell me your opinion on astrology, which is far more skeptical.
So I'm the one always trying to keep us focused and on topic, and Mike is the like crazy random idea guy, if you haven't figured that out. So I was told to have like a Substack, you also kind of need a theme. So we're all about like the intersection of parenting, writing, and mental health, because that is kind of how we initially got a big audience was when I wrote about how Mike got diagnosed with OCD. And so I wanted people to just see more of a real life around that. But yes, Mike sometimes does like to bring in very random topics like astrology.
I mean, it connects.
We bring it back.
Talking about, I think I like to talk a bit about pop culture and so on and so forth. So there was one thing I wrote about going back and rewatching As Good as It Gets.
Yeah.
Yes.
As Jack Nicholson as an OCD character. So I'm trying to keep it in theme, but I also undermine the theme quite a bit. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do you have a system to how you write and whose turn it is and all that? Or is it just kind of like whoever's inspired that day gets to sit down and...
I wish we were organized enough to trade it off and so on and so forth, but it really is just, I had an idea for this one. I want to write it out and send it. And we do like one sharing of it before we share it out to make sure we're not saying anything awful, but that's about it.
I have this dream that we'll get more regular about it someday, maybe when the kids are finally on their own health insurance. Would be
What do you think that's what's relatable about it is that's how life is. I mean, that's what is relatable. When I take a look, it's like, well, yeah, that's really how that gets. And our kids have their own health insurance. And I'm going to tell you, no, that's not what it's going to be.
It would be less chaotic.
Well, then you start having to like text them recipes and right. That's what I'm learning. Julie's like, hold on, I need to text my daughter, teach her, walk her through this recipe.
Oh gosh, that's so cute.
That's great. Yeah. Our older is just starting to pick up some baking stuff. Actually, you posted one about that.
Oh, yeah.
That was very, very, very funny.
How he convinced us to let him eat cake for breakfast.
Cake for breakfast, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that was very relatable for me as well.
Thank you.
So briefly, just as a recap, Julie, I don't know if you read it, but he wanted to start baking muffins because he loved muffins in the morning. And then slowly the muffin recipe evolved into having chocolate chips and being in a full cake pan. And so at that point, he was just making himself cake. And so he bakes his own cakes, which is great. They're actually really good. He wants to share them all the time. So
I'm going to say I support his baking endeavors as a competitive baker. I'm going to say let him go.
Wait, competitive?
I've done at some competitions and stuff.
She's a blue ribbon baker. Yes.
Let him go.
Wow, what haven't you done, Julie?
A lot.
Yeah, we're particularly proud of the baking because Nicole's dad was a baker for the longest time. Not like desserts, but bagels actually.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Delish.
He's never baked me a bagel though. I've asked.
No, see, he comes by it. It's the genetics are there. He's ready to go. He's ready to go.
Yeah.
I love that.
And
now, Nicole. Oh, sorry, Julie.
Yeah, making his own recipes. So you need to start adding like that subset of what our kid did today. After you did that, like now you're going to need to get the recipe out there.
Yeah, his modified cake recipe, the striking out cake recipe. I love that.
His current idea for a business name is Muffin Stuff.
Yeah. HR muffin stuff. Come on.
Yeah.
You guys are probably too long for HR puffin stuff. That is too sad. I just realized that right now. You have no idea what that reference is.
I've heard of it.
Giant kids show. HR
I heard something in the back of my brain somewhere, and then I was like,
"There's a song and everything." So,
are you going to sing it for us?
No, it's slightly terrifying. There's a giant-headed guy. But Muffin Stuff is a great name. He should roll with it.
I agree.
We'll let him know.
Yeah, love it. Now, Nicole, you mentioned that you wrote an essay. I think you mentioned it already earlier for the New York Times. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I wrote an essay that was published in August of 2021.
Okay.
Called A Marriage Stressed by Obsessions and Compulsions for the Modern Love section of the New York Times. So for those who don't know Modern Love, it's a weekly column by a different writer or person every week about some aspect of love. And it's a personal essay. So it's all real, all true. And it's also a podcast and an Amazon TV series. Not our story, just modern love. So I wrote a story about how Mike was diagnosed with OCD after we became parents. And it was a real surprise to all of us, partly because Mike does not fit the stereotype of what we imagine somebody with OCD to have. He's obviously very like personable and fun. And you may not know this from looking at him, but he's super messy and disorganized and just like very creative, kind of like an absent-minded professor type sometimes. Like he's just brilliant. And anyway, we never imagined that he never had anxiety before, but he started having occasional bouts of anxiety after our first kid was born. And we didn't know what it was or what was going on, but it was rare enough that we were still fine and getting by. But when I got pregnant the second time, it became like an everyday thing. Pretty much he was freaking out about all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And we were really lucky. We got great help. And OCD is super treatable. So we learned a lot about it really fast. And just getting that diagnosis was like such a wonderful change and in our lives. Like it just helped us immensely. So I wanted to write about it in case other people were struggling. And also just to process it for ourselves. Like it was such a wild time. And then we had another baby. And then 16 months later, the pandemic hit. And so it was sometime in early 21 when I was thinking like, oh my gosh, like this wild thing happened to us. And we never really had a chance to process it and what it meant for our lives. And that was how I started the essay. That's why I wrote it.
So how did you did you have to submit it to the New York Times, or how did you go from writing to getting it published?
Yeah, they have this like an open submissions process. I have heard that it's very difficult to get in, so I don't want people to think that it was super easy. I had actually taken a class already in personal essay writing, and I'd been a fan of modern love for years. And I was just kind of waiting for the life experience to have a story that I felt was worthy of that column. And that was when when this essay idea came to me, I thought, oh, that could be my modern love essay. And then I have an amazing writers group and we workshopped it, and I got lots of great input from some other writers and worked on it for maybe 2 months or so. And then I submitted it, and then I waited about 4 months to hear back. And when I did, it was like the most exciting day of my life. One of the most exciting days of my life, because I knew it was like a very, very hard to get into column, and that I would have probably over 1 million people read our story.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I love that it went into that modern romance because of the mental health piece, and that people often don't talk about those pieces and how they integrate into your life or the help that's available, right? Yeah. And so that's just a beautiful circle story. And just, it's not like mental health, each specific thing isn't that common, but all together, it's not rare. And to have, a story about the journey and the love through it, that's a great story to write, and probably why they were so open to taking it.
Yeah, I mean, we had great responses from readers as well.
That was actually one of the things I was going to mention.
Yeah, go for it.
We had our website up and people started submitting their, notes to us, and some of them were just thank yous or help, but overwhelmingly it was people writing in saying, thank you for writing that. I did not realize that my loved one could possibly have had OCD, and now we're going to seek treatment for that. So thank you. Or a personal note saying like, I am starting the journey for OCD treatment and that sort of thing. Through realizations and clarifications of like the stereotypes around OCD. Yep. It was, at first, I kind of assumed that the treatment was going to be something that was relatively straightforward and easy to find and so on and so forth. But when we were actually going through it, it was very difficult to get a clear diagnosis as to what it was. It tended to fall into this general category of new parent anxiety, right? And then having come out of that, the other side, having done all this work and understanding the what OCD truly means, especially for parents, I realized that these people who had messaged us, like they had really gotten some value out of that. And that really felt great, especially considering the fact that, this article is putting me out there a bit, but I think it's absolutely worth it given that. We actually had somebody walk up to us at a reading and tell us like, I did not read the story before. Like I didn't know you were in Modern Love, but now I'm starting to realize that I might have OCD as well. And so even in those circumstances, we're seeing it quite a bit, which is amazing.
Wow. Yeah, it must really make putting yourself out there and being so vulnerable, it must feel fulfilling in a sense that you are able to help so many other people by sharing your journey so openly. Yeah, that's.
And honestly, I was expecting a lot more, meanness on the internet. Right. You know what I mean? Just people being jerks. They're anonymous. Yeah.
There was happens a lot. Yes.
There had to be some on Twitter at one point, but it was like 2 tweets out of the thousands of people who responded and did things over all the different, maybe not thousands, but definitely a lot of responses. So that was really incredible to see as well.
Mm-hmm. So and you got to love that. And I think people love being seen, and what is normal and what isn't normal and what is just something to talk about and get some help with. We always talk about that at the hospital, what's normal, what's not normal. And there's big, huge ranges. And I'm going to say you feel very normal in your diagnosis and your person. And just that you also had somebody with you that could recognize the changes and how that was impacting you is like something that not everyone has. And that's super helpful. And I love that you wrote about it and it's out there for people to read.
Thank you. It's been really satisfying. And for anybody like listening or watching and is like wondering if like what's the difference between normal parent anxiety and a potential disorder, like what I found really helpful was the description of like if it gets in the way of your life, like all parents worry. I wanted to be like very clear that I am not like a super chill parent at all, like I worry too. And that the difference was that like Mike's worries were affecting him for like hours at a time. He wouldn't be able to work or parent or just like function. And that's when it might be a disorder, as if like you need to lock yourself in the room for hours to, go down an internet deep dive about like a tiny spot on the baby's lip and, and then you can't function for a while. Like that's when you might want to see an anxiety specialist. And for us also, like finding a specialist in anxiety was my other piece of like, this is the most common question I got was like, what do I do? How do I find the right help? Or that we both got that question a lot. And like a lot of therapists will work on anxiety, but there are specialists who work on disorders like OCD and other anxiety disorders. And that was when everything changed for us.
Right.
And it was not easy to find the right therapy help. And, going back to healthcare, I think one of the things I comment about was just how difficult it was to navigate
the healthcare system.
It means to get the right, therapy in whatever network or, health insurance you have. And I ended up having to patch it together a little bit, which was I'm like incredibly grateful that I was able to figure that out, but I can't even imagine what it would have been like for someone with less support than I had. I mean, support from her to go find those people and get that care team that allowed me to get the help I needed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that journey and having to coordinate your own healthcare is something that I always find slightly alarming in the United States. Like that's how it goes. I watch parents have to do that all the time with their kids, and it's just hard. And then the other part of the journey is that it's the journey that continues. And so sometimes what kind of support you need or mental health support and medications can need to change, and that will go on. And sometimes you can go down or go off and come back. It kind of depends on the patients, and just realizing that that's a journey too. And so that, people, so talking about it helps people know that they're not alone, that they're not the only ones doing that journey.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you kind of came from writing this pretty serious and very important topic, and then on the other hand you're writing a novel together,
Right?
Buzzworthy.
Buzzworthy is the working title.
Right. So I love that you guys can lean into like the two ends of the spectrum. So
well, not only that, then they have the intermittent writing with the Hey Honey. I love it.
Yes. So tell us about Buzzworthy.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. Buzzworthy was a project that we started. It was one of our crazy harebrained ideas, which was, let's write a novel together. And I had written a novel before. I think of it as my learning novel that never got published. And Mike has started novels before that are just so creative and brilliant, but never finished. And we thought, well, what if we put our heads together and wrote something? And so we started just brainstorming ideas of what would we write? What story would it be? And I love romantic comedies and book club type books. And Mike is more on the speculative fiction and science fiction type stuff. And there's only maybe 3 books in the world that we both loved. Our circles of interest are just barely cross over.
Your Venn diagram hardly intersects.
Yeah. So we had to negotiate and be I was can there be a love story? And
it's can that be a B plot? Can that be a side note of it?
It's sure, of course. That's great.
Can it be a little bit off from reality? A little bit off from our reality?
And I was absolutely. It can take place a few years in the future.
So we came to this premise for a book, and I honestly did not expect this process to go well. To be clear, we've tried to do creative things together as well. We are both musicians, and so we had tried to make music together. Did not work. The things that have worked for us have been our marriage, our children, and now writing this book, which has been really, really fun, actually. I think it helps that it's a comedy, right? Yeah. It's really meant to be funny, so we're trying to make each other laugh, and that helps a lot.
Okay.
But we wrote a book. It's pretty great.
Yeah. And I think our different interests actually made the book so much better because we had to find a unique story that would appeal to him and to me. So we ended up coming up with the premise is 2 adult sisters who are completely different. But they agree on one thing. They both love this same reality TV dating show. And then the star bachelor of the reality dating show is kidnapped, and it's all over the news.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the older sister is a history professor, and she thinks that because in our slightly futuristic world, there's a trade deal that's gone bad, and people cannot buy cell phones anymore.
Wow.
They're just not making them because of the materials needed. So the older sister sees this political fired, what's the word I'm looking for?
Implications.
Yeah, she sees major political implications to this guy going missing. and thinks about Franz Ferdinand in World War I, and thinks like, if this guy dies, like we're going to war. Like this is a big problem. And the younger sister is like a BuzzFeed style paparazzi journalist.
Yeah.
He thinks this is like going to save her career if she can go get the scoop. So they decide to team up and travel together like across the world to this fictional island nation and search for Hugh Chang, who is our kidnapped reality TV bachelor. And every chapter starts with like kind of satirical news headlines that kind of set the scene. So some of them are really serious, and some of them are like really kind of fear mongering, and some of them are really light. Like our BuzzFeed style one is, we'll talk about like 10 outfits we saw at the protest, you know, and like different news outlets are reporting on the same thing, but they're to have completely different takes. And I like to go back to your question, Sarah, about like how we write serious stuff and comedy stuff. What I love about Buzzworthy is that it's actually like, it's a fun adventure story. It's something you could read at the beach. It will make you laugh out loud, but like it actually has like a really deep message and an important message, I think, in our day and age that's very timely, because it's really about false news and misinformation and how things get distorted by the media.
Very
and how
appropriate timing. Yes.
yeah. And like, I don't want to give it away, but there's like a huge twist halfway through, and like everything that you think is happening is actually something else. And our heroes in the end, like have to kind of manipulate the media to save the day and take down this
Too
like,
much.
okay, all right, sorry. I just love it so much.
Great, yeah. And oh my gosh, and it's fun. This is so. Nicole says that I'm speculative fiction kind of person. She used that instead of like science fiction or fantasy because I just love this hair off from our own universe kind of world building, and that was a super fun aspect of this, was setting up these situations that could play out the themes we wanted to and the gags we wanted to and that sort of thing. For instance, the reality TV show that we created is fictional, obviously, called The Catch. And it's actually an international competition where the contestants are sent as representatives of each country. So somewhere in between like Eurovision and Bachelor. And so it was just super fun to write about. And I'm not a huge fan, wasn't a huge fan of The Bachelor, but now I'm kind of checking it out because I can see the value a little more. She got into
join the billions and billions of people.
Yeah. One thing I don't watch, I don't have time for it, but all right, I want to know, I'm thinking how your reading styles are so different. What about your writing style? So when you're writing this novel together, how are you kind of melding your two styles of writing?
It works out pretty well, I think.
So my two biggest fears when we started writing a book together, one was that Mike was going to lose interest halfway through.
Like I do.
Luckily he didn't. He was amazing. Then two was that our writing styles would just not mesh. Like it just wouldn't make sense, or you'd be able to tell who wrote what. And somehow they seemed to just work really well together. So we each write different, we'll each work on a different scene, and then we'll read each other the scenes. And I'm like more of the editor, so I'll go over his stuff, but he'll edit mine too. He'll like add to my jokes and make them funnier. So we both wrote like most of the book, and I even have a Hey Honey where I posted a short chapter and it showed like, I wrote this, Mike wrote that, I wrote that, but then Mike made it funnier, like that. It's just to see how that worked. It's really just like a back and forth process. But there are short chapters in the second half of the book that are redacted chats between amateur terrorists that Mike entirely wrote. Like I never ever could have gotten those voices or the syntax of how that would look. But Mike was like, I've got a vision. Let me do it. And they're some of my favorite parts of the whole book. I think they're just so fun and brilliant and just like take you into the minds of these like ridiculous people.
So when you were writing, did you like lay out chapters and decide like somebody would mostly write one chapter, or did you like kind of outline it, or did you write one character's point of view? How did you break that up?
You want to talk about outlining, or shall I?
Well, yeah, we actually did a ton of outlining because we had to coordinate a process. And this is one of the things that Nicole really made magic out of was, no, we are going to have a structure, Michael. We're going to do this. And like, we are going to know where we are going with all of these things. We're going to break it into different acts. And we created a virtual. I kind of wanted, looking back, I kind of wish that we had gotten it like a physical wall filled with the whole plan of it. That would have been super fun. But we did it virtual. It would be on a collaborative whiteboard with every single major beat of the story laid out on this gigantic thing. And it looked a little bit like, you know, the kind of thing you'd see on a conspiracy theorist's wall, but it did actually make a lot of sense. But then I mean, future books, we should do it. And we should just play up the conspiracy theory wall thing, because it really does after a while.
I'm going to tell you, screenwriters that we talk to regularly talk about, like, they literally do the wall thing, or they hang out
like their post-its, or
they move them around.
I was just thinking how to decorate this wall. We'll just make it like we're in, like, you know, we're nuts.
It's just a whiteboard. It's a whiteboard. Start taping things to it.
Great.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you have to plot more when you're writing as a team. That's what we learned. I think if you're writing alone, you can, some people call it pants it. You can just write by the seat of your pants and figure out where you're going as you go. But when you're working as a team, you need to know so that one person's not just like writing something that doesn't work, what the other person's writing. And that still happened in minor ways. Like we'd write two different scenes and then we'd read each other's writing and I'd be like, oh, you have her wearing tennis shoes and I have her wearing sandals, but that's easy to fix. You know, like we worked on that. But the main plot, we had to land it, especially with such a complicated plot. There are multiple points of view. Some of the chapters take place before the day of the kidnapping from the point of view of, so it's, there were a lot of parts that we had to coordinate.
Yeah, I remember this now. We had to really, I think, make sure that we had our timeline down pat, so that we didn't make any mistakes about like the timing of everything as well, because there were a lot of movies.
A little bit more complicated than your normal average rom-com, probably.
Right.
A lot of parts. Okay, so tell us, we can't read it yet.
Not yet.
Okay, so tell us what do you have in the works? Are you getting this published, or what is happening?
It's in progress. So we have an amazing literary agent, which, as you may know, is the first really big step to getting a publishing deal. And along the way, we also got an award. This is why we call ourselves award-winning comedy writers, because if you Google our names, that's actually one of the hits. The book won an award for stories for manuscripts with screen potential through the launch pledge. So we were pretty excited about that, and our agent is currently pitching it to editors. So we don't have anything that we can announce yet, but we really, really hope we can get it to readers soon, because we just love it so much. And like I said, I've shelved another book before. I've actually shelved a few projects, but I really, really believe in this one, and I'm not giving up. So it's going to get to you eventually.
It will. Say it out loud.
when this is where I'm at. When you have a place where we can get this book, make sure you contact us again so we can put that up with a link of where to buy it.
Okay, thank you.
How it looks, or sometimes the titles change along the way. Like whatever the details are, we will post that. Then I'm there. It's gonna happen. So.
It sounds fun. Would you ever consider turning it into a screenplay?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was our vision for it all along, actually. Okay. As a book.
Have you written it already?
No. Well, have we? We've talked about it. No, we have not written it as a screenplay. I wanted it to be a book first. I think we both just love novels and writing, and we don't have any experience in filmmaking or screenwriting, but I think we were always imagining like a very like visual sweeping plot that could easily be adapted later to the screen. Right. Yeah. But if anyone wanted to turn it into a movie now, like we wouldn't be mad about that.
Would you want to do this same type of writing again?
Oh yeah.
Oh, we already are. Mm-hmm. We've started another book we're in the middle of as well while we kind of
oh right. Is this the grandma book?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So
tell us about it. You might as well.
It's not finished yet, so I can't like be as detailed, but the short premise is it's about a young woman whose grandmother passes away, and she goes to settle her estate in this small town on the Olympic Peninsula. It's a fictional town, but we do live on the Olympic Peninsula, so it's like in our home area. And she finds her grandmother's diary and starts reading it and realizes that her grandmother describes being friends with a Sasquatch, otherwise known as Bigfoot. And this woman is like a scientist and a skeptic, and she's like, this is crazy. Like, why would anybody ever believe in this? But she meets a guy who's really attractive and starts working for him, and they and he's a Sasquatch. Like, he's making a documentary about it, and she starts helping with that. And it's sort of about like what you can't know. And so it's not as like laugh out loud funny, but I think it also has like a really deep message. It's a sweet, like kind of romantic comedy that also has a deep message about just like you can never be totally sure what you don't know. Like, you know what you know, but you don't know what you know, like you never know the limits of and like what fascinates us about why humans are so interested in the idea of like magical beings and monsters and stuff like that. Like, I just really wanted to explore that concept.
I need this published. The amount of squatching that happens at my house or even at work is just through the roof. There needs to be a book to go with it.
Oh my gosh.
I'll be downstairs, I'll be like, what do you watch? My husband's like, we're looking for him. We're getting close. We're getting close to finding Sasquatch. And at work, we've done cakes. We've had Sasquatch parties.
Amazing.
No, like, I need this book to happen.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome. I just think it's like it's such a big idea that like everyone's heard of it. Everyone has an opinion about it one way or the other. And like, whether you think it's like totally real and gonna happen soon, that we will find it, or whether you think it's just like the craziest thing you've ever heard of. Like, we wanted to kind of have characters who represented that full spectrum and then like push them all a little bit to understand each other better. And that's kind of where we were coming from with writing this book.
I'm this needs to happen. I need to get my hands on this book.
Awesome. Oh, good.
It's so fun. Are you both up for playing a little favorites game with us?
Sure.
Of course.
Absolutely.
We love games.
Awesome. Do you have, or what is your favorite rom-com?
Ooh, okay. I am a big fan. That's so easy. There's so many, but I really love Curtis Sittenfeld's books, and she wrote one called Eligible, which is like a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, but very modern. And instead of like the rich guy who owns the big estate, it's actually a reality TV contestant who comes to town. And I just think her writing is absolutely delightful.
I will have to look that up. That sounds up my alley. Yes. What about you, Mike?
For rom-com?
Yeah, it could be a book or a movie or show.
For movie, I think I have to go with movie. I don't read a lot of rom-com books. Well, I recently have read a few more, but I'm still kind of catching up with the whole, genre. I'd say that my favorite romantic comedy is called Man Up with Simon Pegg and Lake Bell. Okay. It is about two people who meet each other through a apparently supposed to be meeting up on a date because they both read this self-help book.
Oh.
But it's actually a total mix-up, and there's a whole reason as to why they weren't supposed to be the ones who met up, and they spend like essentially one evening together, and it's very, very, very funny.
I love that. I love
I'm
that.
mostly going for the comedy part of the rom-com, but
Right.
That sounds awesome. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite TV series or something you're binge watching right now?
Ooh, Hacks. It's about a comedy writing pair.
Perfect for you.
Yeah, they're not a couple. It's an older woman and a younger woman who kind of get paired up against their will. But the writing is fantastic. We have to watch the season 3 finale tonight. I think we're almost through.
I binged through that so fast.
It's so good.
That sounds really great.
Yeah, it has one of my favorite moments in TV, which is, I'm not spoiling a ton when I say this. It's actually not even all that legendary of a scene but just literally just the two characters workshopping one of their jokes and like giving feedback to each other. Yeah. It just happens to be that one of them is sitting in a car in her driveway and the other one's standing because they were walking away and they got chased after in a car. So that's like sort of a funny setup. And then they just start workshopping a joke right there. And after that, I was sold. Just the way that they have, the way their dialogue plays out, the way that they're, talking to each other about the comedy of it. It's so fantastic. It's a really great show.
Perfect.
I need to check that out. Yes, after Bridgerton.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, love Bridgerton. It's coming out tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow. Yep. What about a favorite? Let's combine these two. Do you have a favorite food and drink? Something that you maybe indulge in, or maybe something really healthy?
That's hard. I love so many things.
Lots of foods.
So many foods. A favorite. Oh, I really mostly these days craving like vegetarian Indian curries.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of like palak paneer. Mainly because we moved to a small town with amazing restaurants, but there is no Indian restaurant.
Oh.
You're missing that. Yeah.
That's why it's like my favorite right now.
Yeah,
that rose to the
you
top.
can't have it.
The same reason. It's like, oh, you can't have it, therefore.
Right.
Yeah. We have great Thai food here, lots of other stuff, but not that.
And again, spoiled from Seattle, right? So we had a lot of options there, and now we have none.
Mm-hmm.
You have other things, but just not that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, drinks. I mean, I love a good chai with my curry. Yeah, now I'm hungry. Come on.
Sorry.
Perfect.
Thanks. Drink for me. I think you gave the chai one, which is really good. So I'll just say coffee because I am obsessed with coffee. I'm very, very stereotypical Northwest in that way. I am like too much coffee in my life.
Yeah.
I'm very big.
Pretty typical in a lot of places, honestly.
Yeah.
We also drink a lot of wine lately. That might be our favorite drink by volume.
What kind of wine do you like?
Oh, we're not we're not connoisseurs of wine.
Whatever you have.
I think the thing we will. How much do I want to share about the box wine thing? Okay, so we've always loved the idea of like a table wine. Now, granted, we lived in Paris, so like in theory, we should know wine. And honestly, I feel like a lot of it was lost on us, except that you could just get great wine for very inexpensive prices there. So there was just this idea of, just like the house wine that you have all the time. It was pretty good. So we've always been on the hunt for that. And one of the things that has happened recently has been actually good box wine, like legitimately good box wine. So we keep finding them and then not being able to like get them in repeated amounts. So there's no like specific one that we love, but actually finding a good table wine that's in a box has been a successful thing for us and has been very nice for entertaining people too, because then you don't have to like 3 bottles, you have them in a box.
It actually makes a really good sangria too.
Yes.
Well, it also lasts for a month. It's not like a bottle of wine that you have to finish in a day or two. The box, you just take out what you need and it lasts a month. So it's nice to have. It's like, oh, I just want like a half a glass with my dinner tonight, but I don't want to open a whole bottle. That's gonna get bad. So yeah, we're sort of French wine drinkers, and not that we only drink French wine, but we drink wine in a French way, which is like
smaller
a little
amounts.
bit with meals, like most nights. Yeah.
We even bought like the smaller glasses you would get at like a French restaurant because the gigantic.
Not the U.S. version. Like, excuse me.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Do you guys have any hobbies or fun things you like to do?
Ooh.
Lots of those.
You have little kids, so you have no hobbies, or is that the phrase you're in?
Well, am I accurate?
Right now, we're not making much money with our writing, so you could call that a hobby. But no, that I love to dance.
Yeah.
This is my new obsession. I've discovered these dance classes for like hip hop and Zumba, and I would dance like every day if I could. Currently I do it like 3 days a week. That's what I've managed to fit into my schedule. And
which I feel like is a really big accomplishment for a mom of two young kids. Yes.
It's the highlight of my, and it's because you have to focus so much on the moves. Like I can't even think, if I think even for a second about something else, like I'll get behind, you know, and I'll miss a step. So it's just a really good time to just not worry about anything.
It's good for your mental health. Yes.
Yeah. I love it.
As
what
for
about
hobbies for me, definitely music. I think I really like making music. Have not done that very much because children. But a thing that is notable about me when we were talking about, never finishes things, kind of absent-minded professor, is, depending on the month, there's going to be some new hobby in there as well. Mainstays definitely music and, creating music, writing music and that sort of thing. But, recently it has been a lot more in the kind of woodworking space, actually, has been sort of the thing that I've been into as well. Maybe it rubbed off on me because we're in this like smaller town with a lot of woodworking and beautiful houses, a lot of Victorian houses out here with really beautiful woodwork. And so maybe that rubbed off on me, and maybe it'll be something I don't do anymore. We'll see. I doubt that. I've been doing that for a while.
You reminded me to mention, I should not neglect to say that I am in a band. I play in a bluegrass band as well.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my other hobby. We've been playing together for longer than Mike and I have been married. So I think like 16 years.
Wow. What do you play?
I play guitar, but mostly I sing harmony. Like I sing backup is my favorite.
Okay. One of my very dear friends does the same thing in a bluegrass band. So that is fun. Yeah.
It is so fun. Yeah. My bandmates are like a big family at this point. And we have a great time. So
I love that. That's amazing.
Mike, what do you play?
I actually also mostly sing, but I can fake a lot of instruments really well, and I've done a lot of productions. So Nicole jokes that I play the computer. Putting things into the computer using a variety of instruments and stuff.
I play the computer. That is an outstanding skill, though. Honestly.
Yeah.
And well, let's end with music. Tell us, who are your favorite musicians or band?
Oh dear.
Yep. You can say more than one.
Yeah.
Because we might be here for a while.
Yeah. Gosh, like for what mood? For what
time of day? What?
I think for me, I know it's not, I don't actually listen only to bluegrass. I listen to a lot of different stuff. And like my most enduring favorites are probably like Radiohead and Daft Punk.
Yeah.
And we even do some like bluegrass covers of their like
that's fun.
Radiohead song and a Daft Punk song. Yeah. Just they're so fun. They're just amazing songs. Yeah.
Love that.
My interests go all over the place and go very weird. But I think depending on, what era you're talking in, I've always been a big fan of, I guess, like Fleetwood Mac all the way through into modern day. So then also, but then it goes off the rails a bit and it goes.
Are you saying Fleetwood Mac is not modern day?
How many times have they broken up at this point?
Are they like, how many members are still alive? But
seriously, no, that's like it's
fair.
Oh man, yeah.
I've got the '80s albums up on the wall here. So.
Oh yeah, I noticed that. Oh my gosh, those are so great. to let me see if I can think of like a good example artist of the things I'm listening to right now. I think James Blake has been someone I've been really into for a while, and he keeps changing up his genre so many times that I've kind of had struggled to keep up, but it continues to be fantastic. And then sort of in between the two things, so sort of the modern, very, sort of his James Blake's music goes R&B and electronic, and then Fleetwood Mac. In between, you have a bunch of bands that really Pacific Northwest, I realized, things like Bon Iver and The Head and the Heart, and those bands have always been close. It's something I've really adored for a long time. So
love that.
Yeah.
We talk to a lot of Hallmark actors and writers and producers, and I'm feeling like you guys could totally make something work in that world with all of your interests. The romance with a little bit of comedy and the music, like perfect. You should write something for that.
Should make that happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could just write your meet cute, because you have a really cute in real life meet cute yourself.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
That's our movie of the day, Julie.
Okay. Movie of the day. We're always making up some new movie every time we talk to somebody. We're like, that should be a movie.
Yeah, I think somebody told us we should turn the concept for Hey Honey, our Substack, into a TV pilot. And I was like, I don't even know how that. It's like, where would I pitch that?
Can you workshop this with us? Like, because we're trying to get an understanding. Like, what would this look like? I think we could do it.
It could be like a Hallmark movie, actually. I mean, it would just be a very shortened version of it. But that whole like back and forth.
Right. It's kind of like a modern day You've Got Mail.
Yes. Yeah. And then, like you're not
modern day. Like that wasn't that long ago, but I guess it's not modern anymore. But
my mailbox doesn't say "You've got mail."
Not anymore. That's in high school.
The static noise in the back.
But I think something like that would be real cute. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. We'll look into it.
You should look into Screen Rate. I don't know where you go from there, but we keep making movies up. I actually could totally see your Hey Honey stuff turning into a rom-com.
Yes.
Hallmarky style movie of the week.
Okay.
And you think about that. We're going to convince you to start writing more.
I know, right?
We're in.
We'll have to start investigating that world. Tell everybody where they can follow you and where they can find all your information.
Thank you. heyhoney.substack.com.
Yes.
Or just Google Hey Honey and Substack. You'll find us fast. We also have a website that's under just my name, NicoleComforto.com. And that has links to Hey Honey, and you can send us a message there. And
I think those are the good ones. Go check those out.
We're on Instagram, sort of.
Yeah. What's your Instagram handle?
Nicole and Mike.
Okay.
With the periods in between the words.
Oh yeah, thank you. Oh my gosh, I should know this.
Yeah. We've been so focused on the Substack that we actually kind of are just catching up on the Instagram.
Yes, we might join TikTok, but we're still figuring ourselves out. But yeah, we have links to everything also from our website.
Perfect.
Okay. And we'll probably tag you on Instagram. So
we will.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Yes, we'll make some clips. Well, this was really fun. Thank you for being here with us. And thank you, everybody, for watching and listening.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us. This was really fun.
So much fun. Bye, everybody.